y'all got a little taste of what that presentation that they just did, or you saw part of. That's what you guys are going to do in front of everybody here at the end on the last day of class. Yeah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be really fun. So, um, yes, you absolutely can. You guys, if you guys have an idea that y'all want to work on together, you can absolutely come up with your business together and be business partners. We're gonna talk about partnerships and stuff like that at a future class. So, um, right now, let's take a 5 minute break to use the restroom or whatever. If you haven't gotten your free drink and you want one, you can. Classes, guys, listen up, listen up. So, the Amherst classes, they make these things with a 3D printer. So during the second part, we're going to pass that around. You guys are going to be able to see and take a look at some of that stuff. Um, and you can make them at her facility. So what we're going to talk about today is identifying problems and developing solutions. You got some of that from Amber earlier on what that is. So when we're talking about entrepreneurship, like we talked about in the very first class, that the first thing is identifying a problem. So sometimes it's not what we think of as a problem. When we think of problems, what do we think of? Guys, do what? Things that kill things is a problem. What else do you think about problems? When you normally think of a problem, what do you think? It's a bad thing. Well, well, you can, but a lot of times you think of it as a bad thing. So it's not necessarily a bad thing or a negative thing. Sometimes a problem is it's a nice to have. What's it? Who can think of something that's a nice to have? This kind of a problem. It'd be great if caffeine is nice to have. I'm tired. That's a problem. It's not a real problem. It's not something to not be tired. A house. There's housing is a nice to have. You have your basics, like if you have an apartment or a shelter or whatever, but a house is a nice to have. That's fixing a problem like that. Yes. Cars. We can get around. We can ride bikes. We can ride horses. We can do all kinds of things. But a car is more of a nice to have of solving a problem that you want to get somewhere faster. All right, hey guys, listen up. We need to. You can keep looking at these things and passing them around, but you guys need to not talk. You need to be respectful, and you need to be listening to what we're talking about. Okay. Otherwise, we'll just have to pull that out of the way. Sometimes it's a new concept or new technology. Can y'all think of something that is a new technology that's in the last 10 years that has come about that really it wasn't a problem, but it was something that was new that made life everything really cool. Anyone got an example? What? The iPhone is a great example. No one needed an iPhone, right? iPhones came along and they didn't solve that problem that was like pressing. It's, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? We all had regular phones. We could all communicate, but came out with a really cool new technology that has changed the way everything happens in life. Correct? How is someone give me an example of how the iPhone has changed the world? It makes people crazy. Yes, Luke. Marketing. How do people use the iPhone to market? Social media. Social media is used to market to everybody now. It's the number one way to market. It's changed the way that we communicate with each other. The iPhone has enabled us to do so much more. It's enabled us to, like, one of the great features of the iPhone that has changed the way we communicate is FaceTime. Before you didn't do that. You actually were able to talk to somebody on the phone. But FaceTime was a huge change. I'll tell you another one that goes back before you guys are going to remember, but email. Email was something that it was essentially the same thing as sending a letter to somebody, but it happened faster and immediate, and you could respond immediately. So it's a new technology sometimes that makes things that you don't know what problem you're solving, but you're coming with something new, and it's not always obvious. It wasn't obvious what the iPhone was going to do, where it was going to come, or what all the different changes it was going to make. It's happened all along the way because of coming up with a solution to a problem. So we talked about the straw, right? Some are solutions that have already happened, but they're outdated. The plastic straw is something that has caused lots of problems, like we talked about earlier. And then so coming up with a new type of straw. Actually, Amber has a student from her class that saw this was a big problem and came up with a bamboo straw that you can put in your washing machine and reuse, and they're amazing. And they sell them for what, like yeah, so you get 10. So they made these straws out of bamboo. 10 straws for $6, or yeah, 10 straws for $6, and they're reusable. So, um, so what we talked about last time is, what do you see around you? What are the problems? What are the things that you see around you that you might be able to fix? Your brother. what 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 are the things that your friends and family complain about? What's something that somebody you know complains about all the time? Violence. No Wi-Fi or internet. Mess. People making messes. Animal fur everywhere. So all these are, yeah, mileage, mileage in cars. So all these things are things that people are complaining about, and you need to start taking those complaints and thinking about, all right, how do I fix that? How do I keep them from complaining so I don't have to listen to it anymore? What's that? I couldn't hear you. Electronics? Yeah. So what do people complain about? What are the, it would be really cool if? What's something that is a really cool if? What? You don't know? I think it'd be really cool if we had flying cars. Huh? It would be really cool if you get internet in space. Yeah. Madison, what's yours? Yeah. You might be onto an idea right there. So think about those. Yes, talking dogs. Yeah. I mean, you never know. You never know. Like those. So these are the kind of things that where those new technologies come from and those new innovative ideas. And what are they? If someone just would have come up with X, my life would be so easier. If somebody would have just come up with, or when is someone going to come up with something that's going to make my life easier? Yes, dishes that wash themselves. You know, gosh, when is that? I hate doing dishes. When is that going to happen? You know, so think about, these are the kind of things that you want to think about when you're coming up with the problem you're trying to solve and the ideas that you're looking to come up with a solution for. So the next step after we have our identifying our problem, or the cool thing we want to come up with, what is the solution? So I want to encourage you to think without barriers. Who can tell me what that means? What do I mean when I say think without barriers? Thinking about what? Yeah, that yes. So yeah, so there's writer's block. There's oh, I don't have enough money to do that, or I don't know how to build those things. I'm not an engineer. Or that's impossible. That can never happen. Flying cars won't happen. You know, so think without those barriers. As soon as you put barriers on your idea, then you're limiting your creative ability and your ability to come up with that solution. Yes, Madison. Think unlimited. Think unlimited. So by the way, how many people think that flying cars are a real thing that can happen? So about half. So they're actually almost there. Yes. Basically, it's flying drones. It's be what? I could still couldn't hear you. Oh no, so actually I don't think so. And the reason being, y'all know about connected vehicles and autonomous vehicles? So you know what those are? So autonomous vehicles are how your car. Have you been in your car with your parents or with somebody, and then have seen them where they steer themselves, or they beep at you when there's a car on your side when you turn on your turn signal, or they help you stop. Those are all autonomous things where the car is starting to drive itself. We have the ability now where there's actually buses in certain parts of the country that don't have a driver and they will drive you around and they don't wreck because they're also talking to the other cars. So flying cars will be drones that are pilotless, that are all flown by the drones talking to each other and making sure they don't crash into each other. Yes. So right. So yeah, I mean, I think you could absolutely qualify that as a flying car. So, um, but it moves in a much different way than what we think of as a car. Whereas a drone is going to be much more. Here's the lanes and void everybody, that kind of stuff. So that's coming in probably the next 15 years. Those will be real. So the solution the solution to your problem can change or iterate. Guys, you know what iterate means? Iterate. It just basically means it's you come up with one solution and then it's like, okay, well, how can I make that solution better? So think of a toothbrush. I guess everyone's got a toothbrush, right? Have you seen the toothbrushes that have the motor that spin and those supposed to, yeah, so that's an iteration on the toothbrush. That's making the toothbrush better, coming up with a different or adding on to your solution. So that can change and get better over time. Um, with your solution, I want you to attempt to fail. I want you to try. When I say attempt to fail, I want you to try to come up with something that is too crazy that it won't work, because that's how you build up new additions to your solution, and it's how you iterate on your solution to make it better. Um, do what? What'd you say? I still couldn't hear you. You gotta speak up. Bringing back the dinosaurs. So Jurassic Park, right? What a cool idea. Is it really real? I don't know. Maybe someday we build up that genetic that we can dig into the genetic code enough that we're able to do that. Um, ask friends and family to find flaws in your solution. Hey guys, all right, we got to stop right here real quick. You guys got to stop talking, and we're gonna have to stop. Okay, you need to be paying attention, or we're gonna have to do something different because this is we're here to teach you guys lessons about this stuff, and it's a participatory thing and not a talking with each other amongst each other. Everyone understand? Okay. Um, so you ask your friends and family to find holes in your solution and find flaws in your solution, because you know what's going to happen. What do you guys see when you see a company comes out with a product that has a problem or something bothers you? Do you make it loud and clear that you don't like it? Yeah. So you don't want your product or service or company to come out there, and you want to find all those problems ahead of time, or as many of them as you can, so you don't face lots of difficulties. Can someone give me an example where a company came out with a product, or so where a company came out with a product and it had all kinds of problems? The what? Right. And, oh, the Note 7. Yeah, yeah, exactly. The Note 7 was a disaster, right? Um, it was causing problems, blowing up, and very dangerous, and it cost Samsung a ton of money. So having people figure out what are the flaws and what are the problems ahead of time is super important. Most important thing, don't take criticism of your idea personally. Okay? A lot of people, you're never going to be able to please everybody. So some people are going to love your idea and some people are going to hate it. And the people that don't, haters going to hate, right? so don't pay attention to, or you want to pay attention to what they're saying so you can fix whatever issue there might be, but don't take it personally like this is, oh, I'm not a good person, or I'm not smart, or my ideas aren't good when somebody's criticizing them, because it may just be a way to help make your idea better. Okay? So take the time to write down the details of your solution. Amber was talking earlier about how her husband or her spouse was, as a kid, writing his ideas and putting them in a box, right? Write your ideas down and write your solutions down, because you need to have a clear path on how to make that solution work. Develop a detailed plan of how your solution will be implemented. So if you're selling iPhones, you don't have a good plan for building them, distributing them, marketing them, then no one's going to buy them. Can someone think of something that was a really cool idea that never went anywhere because it wasn't executed right? What? Flying cars. Yeah. So anyone have a product that actually came out that actually came out and failed because it was not planned out and executed well? Those are actually out and working pretty well right now. So what about, anyone heard of a Zune? It was a competitor to the iPod. I mean, to the the iPod. It came out. It was a Microsoft product, and now you can listen on your phone. But the iPods were super popular before you could do that. The Zune went nowhere. It wasn't, the implementation of that solution was not well executed. So you also want to consider all the potential users of your product. So if we come out with, if your idea was to come out with a new type of baby bottle for babies, who's going to use that? Babies. Who's going to want to, who are you going to target besides babies? The moms, the parents, right? So you need to figure out now, do you think you're going to focus much on the dads? What about kids? What about teenagers? No? Well, maybe, but I hope that doesn't happen, but yes, it does happen a lot. So you need to think about who are the potential users of that solution and how you're going to get to them and who are you going to focus on. If you have something like iPods, for example, like Xboxes, right? Or game consoles. So lots of people use those. Adults, kids, teenagers, college people, all different types of people use those. But do you want to focus on adults? Because they're not, you want to focus on the kids, right? Or the teenagers, or the college kids, like the people that are able to spend the money on your product and are going to be the biggest users and the biggest advocates. So you need to think about who your full audience is, and then who you're going to really spend your time focusing on selling. Monetize. This is the important part. We talked about last time. Who's good at identifying problems? Everybody, right? Who's good at coming up with solutions? Who's got ideas that need everyone? And none of you guys are good at solutions. I think all you guys are. Everybody has a better way to do something, right? I wish it would be done this way. The hardest part is, how am I going to get somebody to pay me for my solution? So the other thing you got to think about is, how are they going to pay? Who can think of, how do you buy things? With money, but what are different ways? So if you, So credit cards you can buy on credit. You can buy cash. So you can pay once up front, right? You go buy this cup of coffee, you're buying it once, you're paying one time. What about when you buy a car? A lot of people get loans. A lot of people will finance it over time. They'll put some amount of money, but you can buy a car all up front at once, right? What about your phones? Phones are pretty expensive. But a lot of times people will finance that over time within their bill. There's also, oh yeah, yeah. Most of the time, like you do an upgrade, phones are like $1,200. So all the new ones are, most of the new ones are very expensive. So people will roll that into like $20 extra in their phone bill each month. So the other thing is a subscription based. Can anyone tell me what subscription based is? Like what? Advertisement or no? So if I'm paying it with a subscription, guys, if I'm paying with a subscription, what does that mean? Yes. So what about Netflix? You pay Netflix monthly. So so whenever before you used to buy DVDs, right? So you bought a DVD and you paid for it once. The company who makes those DVDs only gets paid one time. Netflix, you're paying for Netflix every month, no matter what, right? And everybody wants their Netflix and everybody needs their Netflix, so they're going to pay for it all the time. So that's subscription based. A lot of stuff is moving to this because you want that revenue, that money coming in all the time. And then that's also sort of considered as a service, like Netflix is movies as a service, or you have like Uber is mobility as a service. It's you're paying for it as you're using it when you're wanting to go somewhere. So these are all the different ways you can get your customers to pay you. Um, so we're going to take a very quick break to pass out lunch. A problem you'd like to solve? Is that? I still couldn't hear you. Cut. I. Cutting fewer trees. Gotcha. Yes. Who did I skip? Parents. Okay. Ashley, what's the problem you'd like to solve? What's that? Just any problem. What's a problem you'd like to fix? You don't have to figure out how. Just name something you'd like to fix. I can come back to you. Be thinking about it. One. What's a problem you'd like to solve? Just it doesn't have to be. You don't have to think about the solution. Just what's something that you'd like to fix? You don't know? All right, I'll come back to you too. Angel, what about you? Angel, what's the problem you'd like to solve? All right, Twig. Animal endangerment. You ready? Do what? A bigger basketball hoop. Okay, we'll come back to you. I'm sorry, what? Judging people before meeting. Okay. Homelessness. Okay, Luke. All right. Who did we skip? Angel, what's yours? Oh, we got. Yeah, we got Ashley's. Oh, I skipped you too. All right, what's yours? What's a problem you'd like to solve? Okay, that's okay. Angel, what about you? Yes. Yeah. You had no one? Teens addicted to their phone.